Barely 24 hours after resumption of train services by the Nigerian Railway Corporation following Thursday's explosion on the Abuja-Kaduna rail line, the Kaduna Terminal Station at Regasa has witnessed low patronage as well as turnout from the passengers. The corporation had last Thursday announced the suspension of all operations on the route after an Abuja-Kaduna bound train almost suffered a derailment as a result of the explosion that occurred at the area en route. Now, the train, with a carrying capacity of 928 passengers per trip, had barely 300 passengers on board traveling to Abuja, leaving more than half of the seats empty, as this would also affect the revenue generation of the corporation, which generates well over 12 million naira daily from passenger tickets. Joining me now in our Lagos studio to give more insight into concerning matters around safeguarding Nigerians and railway patronage, I have the Managing Director of the Nigerian Railway Corporation, Mr. Fidet Okhira. Good to have you on the show this afternoon.
Good afternoon.
Well, it's quite a bounce back you've had from the shock we had just a few days ago. Now, what exactly is the state of affairs of operations as we speak currently today, following that sad incident where we had bandits detonate explosives on tracks serving Abuja and Kaduna rail line?
It was not funny, but however, we still have to give glory to God that there were no death, no injury. I correct one impression: the train did not derail. After the explosion, the driver still managed to move about 8 kilometers before the fuel got exhausted from the tank. And that what stopped the train. And it is very disheartening to note that when government is trying to make life and business convenient for Nigerians, there are some people who are trying to make sure that it doesn't work. However, as I said earlier, we are ready and determined to ensure we provide the service that we are employed to provide. And also Nigerians should also be determined to ensure that the service and the system, Nigeria should not die.
And what's the state of service right now?
No, we are back. We are back. We are providing 8 trips a day.
Okay.
As against 10. Before then, we have stopped, reduced from 10 to 8 in order to service one of our train stock. And it was during that withdrawal that this incident happened, and that set has been serviced, but the one affected by the incident has been withdrawn to workshop for proper checking and proper servicing, and we are working to ensure that in 2 weeks' time we bring it back to service and deploy it to operation.
Safety is key now for air travel, road transport, and as well as rail or water transport. Safety is key. Do you understand the sentiment that there's a little bit of confidence concerns here at this point in time? It seems like we've taken a few steps forward and now we are taking back once again. Security, haulage of cargo, movement of individuals. If we were to peg an economic cost to what last Thursday's incident occurred, the cost, how much would you peg that?
I'm not a money man. I don't discuss money because I think that's the root of all
the major challenges we have.
I don't make money first. I make human being life first.
Exactly.
You see, by the time we start calculating how much have you lost, how much have you gained, if you don't forget about the peace of mind is far more important than the money. Are you getting me? If that incident had not happened, we would have operated a Thursday full service. We only ran only one train on Thursday before the inspection took place and discovered that the track was not safe. Then we did not operate on Friday, and we started operation by 9:50 on Saturday. So the inconveniences that would have caused to people, a lot of people would have moved from one place to the other to do something that is meaningful to their life, which they could not do. So you don't quantify such thing with money. I don't always put money first. Money is as a result of an action. So government have lost money, we have lost money, but that should not be at least
That's
lives
why
were
I started
saved.
with the catchphrase,
Yeah.
safety is
It's
paramount.
paramount, yeah.
Let's now look at this sort of issue also affecting your commitment. Now, you have a very strong commitment towards railway modernization initiatives in the country. We want to see railway established much more intrinsically in our transport mode. To what extent do you think now that we would have to put shock absorbers in place? What sort of new sparks has this incident raised up in terms of safety?
Opened that Nigeria is just not real, that this security apparatus have to be improved upon, because the rail or the national cannot just do it alone. We, by that I mean individuals,
Exactly.
should take care of making sure that they take care of the infrastructure government is trying to put in place, their brother, their sister, their parents. Because that incident, the person who planted it, I don't think he knew whether the brother or the father have traveled on the train. So that is first thing. Life first, safety first. So what we are going to do now, as what that is immediately available, is to increase the number of security patrol we have on our, not only that route, on our rail routes generally, and ensure we have enough security men on train, so that even if something happened, that the train, I thought they planned for the train to derail, but it didn't derail. So there will be enough security men, armed men, to repel.
Have these safety checks already started?
Yeah, we ensure that we do that, and the one that affects rail operations. The safety cell took charge and went there, and you have the commissioner of police visiting the place, you have the commandant, Nigerian Security Defense, and you have a lot of SS and the various experts to even analyze what actually happened, to know the type of bomb that was used, whether there were bullets, gunshot or not. So those things are in place. We are waiting for the comprehensive report. But the one that's affecting the rail is to ensure that the track is safe, the rolling stock we are using is safe, and communication brought back, because there was also an infringement on the communication. And at this point, I would say I praise the courage of the driver, because if he had panicked
to manage that situation.
Yeah, if he has panicked at that spot, and I also thank the security who took charge to ensure they kept the nerve of the people inside the train.
And the best
and
news
immediately,
nobody was
the station manager in Kaduna alerted the army command, and they sent people to ensure they protect the train, because when it happened, you have to send another, what we call a relief locomotive from Abuja to that spot, which is very close to Kaduna. And people are saying that you spend a lot of time. You don't just send a locomotive to another where you have a failure. You have to ensure that the locomotive you are sending will get there safely. You have to identify the exact position that the other train has stopped. So that you don't go and run into it. So from Abuja to Kaduna, it's going to take some time. And to establish that protocol, there's no way it will not take some time.
And buying the confidence of the average Nigerian back is quite a difficult task. What's your word to the average Nigerian who has sort of gone back into the shell in the patronage of rail services? We have issues with our road transport. Now rail?
I think there should be that first shock. Look, I remember even that same Thursday, people were calling, passengers were on the train, even tried to fight, say you must run. We don't have an means of going. They were the station manager was calling me. They want to beat our staff. Say we are refusing to sell ticket because of this and that. And I was in Abuja that Saturday. We started. I think that was quite impressive. The turnout of passengers. I believe it was impressive, because if you imagine if you have a plane crash, the people that will still go on will also go by plane.
Exactly.
And luckily enough, if that bomb was put on the road, for instance, a bus, I don't think there's any way people can survive. At least this should at least have some little confidence on the passengers that even when you put a blast, nothing, it can only affect the track and part of the rolling stock.
Let's now have some progress reports from your desk. Now, we've had the lingering issues of theft of real assets. What sort of progress have you made so far? And then punitive measures to ensure that all those perpetrators of such sharp practices are brought to book.
You see, we are practicing democracy, and there is rule of law. I think that is a major problem. Now,
it's a whole lot of investment stolen.
It's stolen, but you still have to follow the law by charging the people to court and ensuring that you get judgment. But it's not easy, it's not fast, but you are following. I know about 4 people have been sentenced to various terms from 6 years to 2 years, but I think we are trying to see how we can make sure get the maximum of 21 years that is allowed by law. We should be charged appropriately for vandalizing government property, not just theft or something like that. I think the tempo had gone down. What we are noticing is that those materials that we have vandalized, they are now trying to move them from where they were housed them to the various points where they want to sell them. And the security men are assisting us, and they are showing the stop and check. And till last week, I think about 4 or 5 trailers were apprehended along the Plateau Benue axis.
Intelligence report is critical here, and also having synergy between our security agencies. Now let's look at the fact that we're having movement of cargoes and containers from Kano to Kaduna inland dry port. How seamless is this?
No, it's moving well, apart from the issue that we have in delaying of loading at the terminals, because when we moved from Kano, it took us some time, let's say 2-3 days before they were loaded in the terminal at APMT. So we are meeting with them to ensure that there should not be delays, so that the turnaround will be quick, so that there are plenty of officials from the north who want to move by rail. I can tell you today, the Niger State Governor, His Excellency, had a meeting with us, and he's also trying to support us that we move products not only just to Niger State, but up and north, because he is of the belief that by the time we use rail, the road he's building for his people will last longer, because they have this heavy azo load passing the road. No matter when they construct under 6 months, it's depressed and it's failing. He believes that as a result of the azo load, we can be transferred to rail. So, and it's ready to support. So
well, delays also for some businessmen, it's increased cost. Now, let's look at cost reduction strategies. That's the global conversation when we're looking at rail transport. Now, for the Nigerian Railway Corporation, we have to bring down the cost of doing business, the cost of maintenance, the cost of investment, and then better service delivery. By the end of the day, reduce the cost, because money is not as floating as much as we ordinarily would appreciate it would be. What strategies are you adopting?
First of all, is to increase the human capacity and improve on human capacity. People have to fix the rolling stock. People have to fix the track, and if there are local content is improved upon, instead of paying your experts in dollar, you pay in naira. Whether the price goes up or not, it will not affect the dollar fluctuation, will not affect their this thing. So we are trying to, you see, what happened in Kaduna was fixed by our engineers, Nigerian engineers.
Oh, really?
The head of that team was a lady.
Wow.
And in a few hours, the track was restored.
Was back to service.
So, and training, don't forget, we have about 150 people undergoing a course in China on rail engineering and rail operations. So, and it's not just, we are encouraging individuals to come up and start small industrial setup, so that you can see the boat and nuts and all those small spare parts can be sourced locally.
The value chain is vast. I want to take you now on looking at financing of rail infrastructure. You look at the likes of the Abuja-Kaduna rail project, which is covered by China Exim Bank, as well as the Nigerian government from concessionary loans and much more. It's simplistic to just call for public-private partnerships, and talking about this value chain and investment drive, what sort of interplay do you expect to see?
We expect Nigerians to contribute either by providing rolling stock. By rolling stock, I mean the locomotive and coaches. They are not to stop somebody from even establishing a power generation plant just to service the rail, so that we can have electric train and also power the stations. nothing stops somebody from liaising with us and building big structures along the lands we have all over the place as a sort of investment, so that we partner with them. I have an MOU that what is the Nigerian Railway Corporation responsibility, what is the investor responsibility, how much is it getting from it, how much is NRC getting of it, what should we be our role at this various things. To construct rail, it's not cheap.
Why do you think some people raise eyebrows about concessionary loans with regards to rail infrastructure?
So, you see, no matter what you do in Nigeria, people must raise eyebrows. So that's why you have a government to decide what is good for the people.
Is that the best approach?
Good for the country. If I eat pounded yam today, somebody will say, oh, I should eat pounded yam.
That's fattening.
So there's no way. But as a responsible government, you have to make the decision that to favor majority of the people, not selected class.
We're gradually wrapping up our conversation now. Let's look at the future of travel, looking at rail now. One of the biggest issues or the catches we have with rail transport is the fact that we have reduced travel time. You can take on more cargo and a whole lot more. What do you think is the future in the short, medium to long term? How do you see the face of rail travel evolving in Nigeria?
So
away from the current phase it has now.
Yeah. You see, we should not slow down. We should continue with what the government is doing because they have the willpower and they have the determination to continue. Because if we have started this thing since 1999,
the momentum would have picked it up faster.
We would have covered everywhere, and people would travel at peace. What rail brings to the table is traveling at peace. You're not scared, you are not worried about operational this, we cannot fly now, you spend 4 hours to fly 5 hours waiting to catch your flight. If it's 8 a.m., the train will take off 8 a.m. You see, the funniest thing is that what I see here, that people say the fare is expensive. I don't believe it's expensive. It may be because of our earning power. I know if you go to use the train from London to Manchester, it's higher than by air.
Compare that to Lagos Ibadan.
By air, it's higher by air.
Okay.
To use a train from Paris to London, sometimes it's twice the air. So because you can time yourself, you have a meeting, you will get there, or nobody will come and tell you operational reason, whether is this or whether is that. And you are not the storm and all those things doesn't affect the rail
transport.
So we think we should grow it faster because it's going to impact on the economy. Apart from the job creation that can happen, directly, the indirect opportunity that is available.
Communities around the areas.
Around the area, around the rail route, and imagine the lubricants that will be used in servicing the rail, and it will encourage the oil sector as well. Not just it has that opportunity to spread goodness to all sides. If we cover, see, there are some manufacturing settings that could have taken place because you say if the cost of moving the product to the marketplace sometimes is higher than the product itself. So an investor,
that fuels inflation.
It doesn't start as an incentive. The cost of moving farm produce from the hinterland to the city is quite expensive, and sometimes they get damaged because the vehicles we are using can get bad. But if you have, like what we have done now, we have gotten some frozen wagons that can take maybe beef already prepared, and you can move them from instead of carrying live.
So those like cold rooms to store such.
Yeah, we have some of them. We brought them in, and you can move them from Lagos to Ibadan to Lagos instead of live cattle. And when you move in bulk, imagine you move 25 tank wagons of 44 liters of petroleum product to Kano. In a week, the pressure of scarcity will go off. You will not find somebody saying that instead of 33, I got 25. Because you don't know what happened between now, here and Shagamu and all those. But rail, it is sealed and it will be delivered sealed.
Do you see the rest of our rail projects also seeing the light of day, the end of the tunnel?
So we are working hard. The minister is working hard.
There are concerns with timelines.
The government is working hard
delivered.
To see that funds is gotten to continue the project we have signed. Don't forget we have Ibadan Kano, Lagos. Kano Ibadan is booting seriously, men at work. We have Port Harcourt to Maduguri, reconstruction of the narrow gauge. The men are in Port Harcourt right now, finding accommodation and deploying their working tools. We had Itakbe Abuja to link Itakbe to the Abuja-Kaduna Kano already signed. So we are negotiating, and we also have Calabar to Lagos already signed. It's just you see, this COVID-19 has affected a lot of things. Now we have to restructure and plan and see how funds can come in to do all these projects. So you see, people say you borrow. You don't have the money, but you require to train your child. And if I say, take this, after you pay, what will you choose, to train your child or just say go to the street? That's
why transparency is key. But lastly now, I'd like to ask, some think the Lagos-Ibadan route is one of the most productive, one of your the highlights of the rail evolution we've seen in recent months. Would you agree to that?
Yeah, it is, because the station we have there is quite interesting. And
I'm here to get on the train.
You better try it. If you are sad and you get to the train station, you become very happy. And when you enter the train, you forget about your problem. So that is the way it's planned for.
We keep our fingers crossed and continue to embrace the changing face of rail transport. It's been a pleasure speaking with you, Mr. Fidet Okhira.